We are rolling now.
Okay.
So I want to just start with, you guys are seeing a huge spike in people coming to get COVID-19 testing. What are you attributing that spike to? We're hearing because of people needing proof of negative results to get into concerts and businesses, but you're saying that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's maybe 5% of our test requests are for those kind of things, whether it's travel. I will say, the beginning of really from end of April until mid-July, I mean, pretty much 100% of our requests were for travel or going to places. But then the end of July, it just ramped up aggressively, and now it's maybe just 5% of what we're doing every day. The rest are people with symptoms. They're seeking us because they have symptoms. So what are you attributing it to, I guess?
What are you attributing the spike to?
So it's definitely the Delta variant. The Delta variant, from what we know, is somewhere around 8 to 10 times as infectious. And again, every place it's been previously has had, once the Delta variant is the primary variant in the community, it does exactly what we think it would do, would be infect like crazy. So, and we're seeing it all over the place. Now, I will say that the symptoms that we were having compared to the symptoms that we had in January, not everybody, but on a majority, are less, and they actually do better than they did in the last wave. And I will also say the last wave, even from December to January, was significantly more deadly, well, less deadly than the patients we saw at the start of this thing. When the start of this thing, when people got tested positive, it was, a lot of them ended up in the hospital. And each time there's been another wave, it's more and more tests, more and more positives, but less and less serious disease. And I think that's pretty typical based on how most viruses mutate.
So with this increase of people coming to get tested, what kind of stress is that putting on your resources here in terms of accommodating everybody?
Yeah, I can't really. I've got more and more people working at home to get people scheduled. I've got, I probably sleep 4 hours a night right now anyway. I'm actually doing the scheduling in the middle of the night. It's my business, so I gotta make sure people are taken care of. So, that's really what's done. I think probably put more stress on my wife than me.
So, with this second wave of the pandemic, you're seeing more people getting tested now with this Delta variant than
not only tested, but tested positive. And I will say it's more likely that this is the fourth wave. And so if you were to compare it to the India data, India after each wave that they would do a seropositivity study, which basically gets some really targeted samples throughout the whole country. And when they've done that, each time, the first one, basically, again, targeted blood samples. Blood samples show you who's been infected, who has antibodies from it. The first wave, which would have been right when we had this, 15 days to slow the spread, that whole thing, they did a seroprevalence study afterwards. It was about 0.7% of their population. The second wave, which would have been a year ago, it was 7.1. And then the third wave, which is similar to our third wave, which was December to February, was 24.1% of the population. This last wave, which they did seroprevalence studies that released it 2 weeks ago from the Ministry of Health in India, it was 67.6% of people had antibodies. Mm-hmm. And so you wonder why it fell off like a cliff, because there's not many more people to infect. And actually, in that seroprevalence study, they actually did kids age 16 to 18. 6 to 18. They didn't do anybody under 6. But the prevalence in there is about 60% as well. And when you think about it, okay, Johns Hopkins says, there's like been 30 million cases there. But do the math, 1.4 billion people and 67.6% is about 930 million. Johns Hopkins was only off by 900 million.
How many of the people that you're testing are vaccinated?
It's, it's half and half. Mm-hmm. So now we'll say the positivity rate are half and half. Doesn't seem to, the question is again, we're an outpatient place. We're obviously not coming here where you can't breathe or, those kind of things. But in our pooling, prior infected seems to matter the most. Then vaccine status after that really doesn't matter. It probably matters a little bit more how recently you got the vaccine. But a lot of the doctors and even the elderly got it early. And actually, if you look at the Pfizer data, there's a reason that they want to have a booster. Mm-hmm. So.
And, for people who are saying, I don't need the shot because people are still catching this virus who are vaccinated, what do you say to those folks?
I mean, I think every vaccine is a personal decision. I think they need to look at the data, and I think they need to talk to their doctor. So that's what I do. I mean, the first thing I would do is make sure that they haven't already had COVID, because I think if you've had COVID, that gives you protection. The Israel data shows that, the people that are getting reinfected or not reinfected, just infected in general, are actually I think it's almost 90% of them are vaccinated. Of course, 90% of their country is vaccinated. But they have kept up with about 900,000 people that are recovered, and very few of those are getting reinfections.
So are you advising still get vaccinated regardless of...
I would say, first of all, find out what your immunity status is. I mean, the other thing is a lot of people are surprised to even find out their headache today was COVID. Again, the Delta variant seems to be very mild. Headache seems to be a symptom that wasn't part of all the other variants. This variant seems like, I had a headache, and they're coming in for a headache, and we test them, and they got COVID. I mean, that's again. So, getting vaccinated while you actually have COVID is probably not recommended. So, if that makes sense. So, finding out whether you have it now or have previously had it is probably a very important thing to make a decision about getting vaccinated. So.
Mm-hmm. On average, how many people are you guys seeing today coming in to get tested?
So, I mean, I think Monday was the biggest day I've ever had, and it was over 1,000.
Wow.
So, but again, I have 6 clinics. So, I mean, not here, but meaning I have 6 clinics.
So that's 1,000 spread across those 6 clinics.
Yeah, and then, so we have what? Probably, about 12 providers. So you could divide that into what a typical office would see, but on aggregate, that's what it is. And again, that 1,000 is more than double, almost 3 times what the highest we did in the last wave.
Wow. Dr. Vaughn, anything I'm not asking you that you think is important to mention?
I mean, I think seeking out, talking to, sometimes, again, I would say the course of the disease is a disease that a lot of people don't realize isn't like the flu in terms of you don't have a quick decline. A lot of people sit around and say they feel okay for 3 to 4 days, and then they decline on the 5th or 6th day. And in all honesty, what I do for my patients is a lot of times I want to hear from them how they're doing. And if day 4 or 5 they're not doing well or it's in their chest, I'm going to start stuff that would probably they would receive it once they got to the hospital, but there's no reason not to do it in the outpatient setting. And so in a lot of ways I've kept a lot of people out of the hospital by doing that. And anyway, so if you're not getting better day 5 or 6, you need to be a little bit more wary and get your doctor on the phone. So.
Also, when it comes to getting tested, if a person has been exposed to someone who has COVID but they're vaccinated, are you still encouraging them to get tested just in case?
So a lot of the tests we're having would be a parent that comes in and just finds out they're positive, and then it's like, well, where did I get it? Sometimes it's actually funny that the man will get it, like for instance, and then the wife's like, where did he get it? And then I'm like, well, let's swab you. She's positive. Doesn't have any symptoms. So again, it's I think a lot of it, and kids are the same way. A lot of parents are getting it from their kids, and their kids literally have no symptoms and never had symptoms. Mm-hmm. So I think that's an important thing to realize. It's I don't want to be an alarmist here, but it's spreading like wildfire, and there's no heat, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You can't pick it up. Mm-hmm. So that's why what I'm picking up in the outpatient setting doesn't even match with what my ramp is way steeper than the ramp that they're seeing at the hospitals, which is a good thing. It's good because decoupling of those things is a great thing, meaning a virus that is much more infectious but much less deadly is a great thing for all of us.
Right.